Let's move to this. Prince Harry will be present at the King's coronation, as we mentioned yesterday, but his wife Meghan will not be attending, according to the palace. There had been speculation about whether the couple would travel to the coronation, but it's now emerged that Harry will attend on his own. The Prince will be joined by 2,000 guests at Westminster Abbey on May the 6th. It'll be the first time he's been seen with the royal family since his memoir, Spare, was published. You can only imagine the backroom conversations. Let's speak to Sarah Robertson, the royal commentator, on this. Do you think, Sarah, this was a negotiated position? Did they a bit of to and froing and then they finally decided on Harry going solo?
Yes, I think you're right there, Ian. That is the case of what has been happening for months now. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex have been playing a game of will they, won't they, with the royal household. The official date for the RSVP was actually on April the 3rd, and they'd gone past that, leaving the Buckingham Palace hanging as to whether the Sussexes would attend. But in the end, it was decided that Prince Harry will come on his own. He's going to be flying in and out. It's going to be a very fast visit. There's not going to be any hanging around. He's not expected to play any part in the procession. We won't see him travelling with his father, the King. We won't see him on the balcony with other working members of the royal family because, as we know, Prince Harry's no longer a working member of the British royal family. So he is literally going to be sat in Westminster Abbey with other lower down members of the British royal family. So his presence is going to be there, but it's not going to be significant in terms of the duty that he's going to be carrying out, unlike his brother, the Prince of Wales, Prince William. Yeah,
he's not going to be travelling on a gold-plated horse down the Mall, is he? That's for sure.
No, well, a carriage, but no, he's not. And I think the British public will breathe a sigh of relief at that. But it's heartwarming for Charles to have both of his sons present at his coronation. That was always his wish, but we know it's going to be very, very taut. Relations between Harry and his brother William are still strained after that Netflix documentary, and as you point out, the book Spare, the autobiography in which he laid bare private details about his brother William, quite damaging allegations and details about his brother William and his wife, Kate Middleton, the Princess of Wales. That is not something, Ian, that you can easily just gloss over.
Yeah, this was big stuff, wasn't it? By any measure. This was not just tittle-tattle, this was big stuff.
Would you speak to your sibling if they'd done the same to you in such a public manner? I doubt it. So there's a lot that needs to be said between the two brothers, but the coronation is not the time and the place to do that. The other detail as well, which was hampering Harry's visit, was the security detail. We've seen that's been dragging on for months as well, him talking about being able to pay for his own private security. There was talk as well about him going into court with the government over his security. That detail has, I've been told, been ironed out as well. The King apparently has sort of stepped in there, and we saw that detail had been ironed out because Harry had flown back last month to take part in the trial against Associated Newspapers, in which he's claiming his phone was allegedly hacked by that newspaper group when he was younger. So he is able to travel now, but we won't see the Duchess of Sussex. She's not going to be playing any part. I was told, sources said to me that she had wanted to come, but in the end, it was seen that there would just be too much tension, too much trouble. And the royal household have breathed a sigh of relief that she's not going to be there. So the emphasis is going to be on the King, and it's going to be a unified day. Well, that's the plan anyway.
I was just wondering, just on that point, Sarah, and obviously, as you rightly say, he's not going to turn up at Heathrow and take an Uber, so they've obviously put something on for him.
Exactly.
But also, do you think he'll meet the King before the night before or the days before? Do we have any detail on whether there'll be private meetings before the coronation?
Ian, the coronation is going to be so busy. Every minute has been accounted for. The King's schedule has been planned for months now. And as I say, every minute has been accounted for. It's unlikely that Prince Harry is going to have any private alone time with his father, just due to the jam-packed schedule that King Charles has in front of him. It's going to be very difficult. There may be a chance for maybe 10, 15 minutes the evening before he arrives for a quick hello. But again, I think that's unlikely. This is literally just Harry flying in and then going back out. But Charles will be very pleased to have Harry there. And Harry did always say that he did want to go, but he put the ball back in the royal family's court. If you remember in those interviews, he said conversations had to be had. They obviously have been, but he put it back to the royal family. There's obviously been some agreement made. However, just because the Duchess of Sussex isn't there doesn't mean that we're not going to see or hear of her. It happens to be Archie's birthday that weekend. He's turning 4, and no doubt the Duchess of Sussex will want to have that marked in some way publicly. So don't be surprised. I think there will be some release of private photographs, which obviously aren't private because they're going to go out on Instagram for the public to see, and on the website Archwell. So she, in some capacity, will manage to try and inveigle her name to be mentioned during the King's coronation weekend, his biggest weekend of his life.
Indeed it is. Sarah, we will speak again. Thank you. Sarah Robertson, royal commentator, with us here on TalkTV. Well, is he going to kip in the palace? I mean, you'd take that, wouldn't you? You'll have to have a room in the palace. That would be fantastic. But it just shows you how messed up that kind of system is. And, you know, he might get 15 minutes with his dad. You know, make an appointment in the diary. I know he's the king and stuff. You know, nobody's disputing he's not a busy bloke. And, you know, the coronation is not an insignificant moment in his life. But it just highlights again the curious nature of this institution. You're flying from the other side of the world. You might get 15 minutes, but probably not. You're going to fly in, fly out, and, you know, a nod to your dad over the cathedral floor. Wow.